Now, before I dive into the list, I do want to mention that most of the fragrances on this list can be sampled at scentsplit.com. All of the links are going to be down below. It's a great way to sample fragrances before you buy them. This way, you don't need to worry about pulling the trigger on bottles that cost $300, $400, $500. You can get a small decant, get a chance to try it for yourself, see if it works on your skin, and then you're good to go. So I was tagged to do this video by my friend, my brother Darian over at Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I'm gonna leave his link down below. It's a tag video and it's called 10 Fragrances for Life, period. So if I had to have just 10 fragrances out of my huge collection, which 10 fragrances would I go for if these are the only fragrances I were to wear for the rest of my life? What a difficult video. I hope you enjoyed what I put together for you, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin this video and I tell you about these 10 fragrances for life, period, a tag video that I was tagged to do, I want to start things off by mentioning that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. So of course, this list does not discriminate, and it's not supposed to. So it's not just niche or just designer. It could have a cologne, it could have indie fragrances, it could have oils and attars, it could have anything basically, but just 10 fragrances from my collection. If my house were on fire, God forbid, and I had to run out of here with 10 fragrances, which are the first ones I would scoop up, the ones that I think, really mean something and have some symbolism and are very personal to me. These are fragrances that I personally love, and I can't tell you how much I love them. I can't express enough how much I really like these fragrances. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. This one is a designer, but it is on the pricier side of things. This is Bulgari Tiger. I love this fragrance so much. The grapefruit, that bright ginger, sort of sparkling ambroxan grapefruit kind of a vibe. This one is inspired by the stone tiger's eye, which is why it has this design here on the cap. It's quite beautiful. I really love this line and everything that they put out, and I own a number of them now, and I'm very happy that I do. And this one, composed by Jacques Cavalier, is a beautiful fragrance. The next one I want to talk about is a fragrance that I purchased some time ago, and this one is by Christian Dior, and it's called Dior Intense. And I bought this kind of right around when the hype was beginning to form on YouTube, and you have the iris, the vanilla, that sort of muskmallow ambrette seed vibe that's in here. Very sensual, very mesmerizing, very flirtatious, and it's an amazing, sexy fragrance. Perfect for a night out, perfect for a date, perfect for a close encounter scenario. And I've always really liked the Dior line. I do have the original, I have the 2020 version, I have the sport version, a number of sport versions that came out throughout the years, but Dior Intense is a beautiful fragrance. The next fragrance for life is one that means a lot to me. I've had this one since 2011, 2012, I think. Creed Aventus, of course. I've gone through so many bottles of this stuff. I love wearing Aventus, and it is the #1 compliment getter in my collection on the niche side of things. You can't go wrong with Aventus. I do realize it's a polarizing smell, so either you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. And I think even a lot of people who've been wearing it for many years now, they've probably gotten pretty tired of it. And of course, it is a bit discouraging, especially when you have so many clones out there. I mean, I know the clones can also be a good thing for people who can't afford the real deal, but with fragrances like Club de Nuit Intense for men, and fragrances like Mont Blanc's Explorer, that smell has just become so commonplace. And I get it. That's one of the reasons why people get quite frustrated, but I love Creed Aventus. And I have 2 bottles in my collection currently that are untouched. And so good news is when this one runs out, that's gonna happen soon, I do have a number of backups. The next fragrance is one I truly love, another niche, and this one by Inicio Parfum is called Side Effect. So many great fragrances from this brand. Could have put Oud for Greatness on this list. Oud for Happiness is another one. Rehab I love. But there's something about Side Effect. The tonka bean, the vanilla, at least I get a sort of tonka bean vanilla vibe from it, but it does have rum, it does have saffron, it has so many incredible ingredients in here, and the hedione really makes this fragrance a compliment getter, does so well on my skin. I love Side Effect. Another fragrance that I truly love, I believe composed by Alberto Morillas, it is a mint and citrus fragrance. It is so lively, and I fell in love with it the moment I tried it, and I purchased it right on the spot. This one by Eau d'Italie is called Acqua Decima. This brand has a lot of incredible fragrances, very underrated. Jardin du Poète is another one, Bois d'Ombry is another one, Baume du Doge is another one. So many incredible fragrances, but Acqua Decima, which means the 10th water, is a brilliant, bright, fresh, invigorating summertime citrus and mint fragrance. The next fragrance I want to talk about is one that I also truly love. It was my first, I guess if you want to put it like this, my first successful blind buy for which I was responsible, because I've always had people buy me fragrances, my mother, my aunt. Now this is the one that I bought for myself right when it came out. I think it was 2012, could be wrong about that, maybe even sooner. And as soon as I smelled it, I loved it, because I've always been a fan of Flower Bomb by Viktor and Rolf. But of course, that's a fragrance worn by a lot of women I knew. And so, you know, of course, I never owned it until recently, but this is one that I bought right when it came out, and this is my, I guess if you want to call it, vintage bottle. I've hung on to it so many years. Spice Bomb, incredible fragrance. The pink pepper, the tobacco, that sweetness of vanilla underneath. And I thought to myself, wow, this fragrance is amazing. And the bottle presentation is really cool. I wouldn't travel with it on an airplane though, but it's a beautiful fragrance. The next fragrance is also one that I fell in love with many years ago. I initially sampled this fragrance at a boutique in Soho in Manhattan, and this fragrance is one of the best expressions of the note of bergamot I've ever smelled. Bergamot and cardamom by Xerjoff. This is called Neo, one of the brand's first releases in the Shooting Star collection. And listen, the brand of Xerjoff has so many winners. They have Mephisto, Mephisto Gentiluomo, they have Erba Pura, Symphonium, so many incredible fragrances, Naxos. And I thought to myself, if there's one Xerjoff where I look at it and I smell it and I'm like, I love that one so much, it's definitely Neo. So I'm very happy that I acquired this one recently. And the next fragrance that I want to talk about, I purchased this one many years ago, not when it came out. I was a little late to the party with this one, but I have owned this one for almost probably about a decade now. This one by Amouage is called Jubilation 25. So it's an Omani brand. It was made to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the brand, hence the name Jubilation 25. Composed by Bertrand Duchaufour, who is an amazing perfumer, one of my favorites. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person. And this one has this sweet myrrh, a Papanax, and blackberry combination. It is so exotic. If you want a fragrance that makes you smell like a king, absolute royalty and opulence, there is nothing on the market quite like Jubilation 25 by Amouage. The next fragrance that I want to mention on this list is one that I picked up a few summers ago, and I have fallen in love with this fragrance ever since. And this is one of my absolute favorite fragrances for the summertime. Of course, I also love Neo and Acqua Decima and also Tiger for the summertime, and I've been wearing all three of them a lot. But this next one, there's something about it with the clean white florals, and it's so natural smelling and it's so mesmerizing, by Roja Parfum. Of course, I had to put a Roja on this list. This one is Oceania, one of my favorite Roja fragrances ever. I love Manhattan, I love Danger, I love Scandal, I love Creation-y, I really like Apex, I love Elysium, and I almost put a Midsummer Dream on this list. But Oceania is the one fragrance from Roja Parfum where I look at it time and time again and I'm like, what would I do without it? And the last fragrance that I want to mention is one that is very sentimental to me. And I say that because it is the fragrance that really opened up my eyes to some of the more artistic aspects of fragrances. And I still remember the day so vividly and so clearly when I went to the Sephora in my local mall and I was trying everything, the Gucci's, the Armani's, the Chanel's, and everything just smelled very bright and citrusy and fresh and clean and whatever. And then I smelled this one and I was like, what is this? And I had to have it. This one came out in the mid-90s, composed by Jacques Couklier. It is a masterpiece, and there's no denying that. By Thierry Mugler, it's called Amen, or Angel for men. It succeeded the women's version by a few years, but it's an amazing caramel, patchouli, chocolatey, vanilla, cotton candy, ethyl maltol type of a fragrance, and I love it so much. And at the time, I remember thinking, wow, this is different. And it was sweet. And it also is the fragrance that opened my eyes up to the fact that I love gourmand fragrances. And I guess given the amount of sweetness that's in it, I ended up really enjoying it. And since then, of course, I purchased Pure Malt, Pure Havane, Pure Wood, all of the Pures and the Ultras and whatever else. So this is it. 10 fragrances for life, period, both designer and niche. Darian, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this video. And of course, because this is a tag video, I would really like to open up the tag to anybody who sees this video, but I would specifically like to tag Foxhole Fragrance, a channel that is relatively new, but they're doing such an amazing job. And so if you are watching this video, Foxhole Fragrance, I tag you. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.